Hi guys, today I'm doing a lesson on the halftime shuffle, which it's been done a lot by different teachers and everyone has their own different approach. So this is going to be the way I teach the halftime shuffle, and this is not to say that this is the way to do it, this is our way to do it most definitely, but everyone has a different way and everyone has pros and cons to their way, so don't think that I'm stamping a definitive way to do it on this. This is my way, and if it works for you, I'm happy, and if it doesn't, then that's good too. There is a way for you. Everyone's different. So this is a staged approach. We're not going to just say, okay, here's what the halftime shuffle looks like, now go play it, because that is the equivalent of getting served your main course and someone saying to you, now eat it all in one bite. By definition, it's not going to work out. It's not going to be a pleasant experience. You're probably going to end up choking. It's the exact same when it comes to learning a groove, as complex as the halftime shuffle. So we're going to take it in courses, in stages, the same as you will with your meals. So the first stage is just to play triplets on the snare drum, okay? And the pattern we're going to use is right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left. Okay, so triplets, as you know already, which you should. If you don't, you should go back to the triplets lesson. But if you don't know, triplets is basically 3 hits on each number. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we're going to go right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and on that, you can see I've put the hi-hat on the number just to give a pulse so that you can make sure that it feels like you're playing in triplets. Because if you don't put a pulse into this, it can feel like you're not playing in triplets and you're learning it incorrectly. You're developing a pattern in your head that's not the correct pattern. So that pulse should help you feel the triplet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can practice that until it feels comfortable, and you can practice that as slowly as you need to. You don't have to be at that speed. I've done this before. That's why I'm playing at that speed. The first time I did this, I did it like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and you get the idea. It was slow and painful sounding. But the problem is, a lot of people try and perform when they're practicing. And then when they make mistakes, they give themselves a hard time because the performance had a mistake in it. The fact of the matter is, when you're practicing, you're not performing. You are practicing. Mistakes are going to happen. If there's no mistakes, then you're not actually practicing. Because if you can do it, then you shouldn't be practicing it. You should be working on something new. So by sheer definition, practice is going to have mistakes in it. If you give yourself a hard time because of that, then it's pointless to call it practice. So please take your time with this. The slower you do something, the easier it's going to be. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you want to get comfortable enough with that's going to be at tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if that's something that you're currently able to do, that's great. We'll move on to the next one. If it's not, don't move on. Stay on that. Pause this video, come back to it next week. Just use this line and work on that until you're comfortable with it. Because if you move on prematurely, you're just going to force yourself to make mistakes by adding in more difficulty. So the next line, it does the exact same pattern, but we're going to move that right hand up onto the hi-hats. Okay, so it's going to be the same pattern. I'm taking out the pulse now because the reason for that pulse being there was to give you the triplet feel. Now you should have the triplet feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you can see how it's starting to form now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add a downbeat on the snare on 3. Currently, we're not hitting the snare on 3, we're hitting the hi-hats. So we're going to stick a snare drum in underneath the hi-hats on 3. And we're going to accent it, so it's going to be audibly louder than the other snares. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But you'll notice that puts 2 snares right beside each other. So we're going to remove that second snare just for now for practice purposes. Okay? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you want to get comfortable enough with that again that it flows. take note of my accent there on the tree. I am not hitting the snare as hard as I can. I am giving an audible difference to my snare. You can see my stick comes up a little higher. It should anyway. If it wasn't, I'm sorry. But I believe it was. It was coming up a little higher than the other snares, and you could hear an audible difference in it. If you think accents are, you need to hit this snare as hard as you can, then you're just losing all control of dynamic. Accelerating doesn't mean going as fast as you can. It means speeding up a tiny bit. And an accent doesn't mean hitting as hard as you can. So you got to have that kind of volume control. Okay, so now that we have a downbeat on the snare on that tree, we want to hit the bass drum on the 1, and that's what we do on the next step. This is the 4th step if you're counting. Okay, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, stick on that until you're comfortable with it. Getting it right isn't comfortable. Comfortable is that you're not going to get it wrong. Okay, so you can stay on that. Don't be worried about staying on it for any length of time. You can stay on it for a week or two if you need to. It's better to be comfortable than to just get it right and move on, because then you're just adding problems onto your practice and forcing yourself to make mistakes when you really shouldn't. This should be enjoyable as well, and if you're making mistakes constantly, you won't enjoy yourself. Okay, so that was step 4. Step 5, we're just going to bring back in that snare that was right after the tree. So we're going to have 2 snares together. So it's going to be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the tree is an accented snare. So the and after the tree is going to be back down to normal volume. So you have to go accent quiet. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're looking for. That's the hard part so far. Just getting it loud and then getting it quiet directly after it. If you don't have good control of your volume, this is what's going to happen. You're going to still have force in that hand, and it's going to lose its flow. So you want, if you have to practice just doing that. 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so adding it into the groove. We're really starting to get there now. So the next one, we're going to add in another bass drum to the A of 1. So it's 1 and A. That's the start of this group. 1 and A. 1. 1 and A. Okay, so as you can see, we're slowly building in detail to this, and we don't have very much left until it's a complete halftime shuffle. The variations on the bass drum here are up to individual drummers. The one I have done here is one I like to play, but you're going to see different versions of this, less complex, more complex. They're all on a spectrum of halftime shuffles, and they all qualify as halftime shuffles. So we're going to add in another bass drum on the A of 2. So I'm very heavy-footed with that because I really want to emphasize where those bass drums are. They won't have to be heavy like that when you're performing it. Now all I'm going to do is add in one more bass drum at the very end of the groove, so it's going to be on the A of 4. So at a very slow tempo, this is what it sounds like. Okay, so slightly sped up. Okay, so that's like 8 steps that you've taken from just doing basic triplet pattern, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, all the way up to having it to a full Purdie shuffle, a full halftime shuffle. This is a very staged approach, and I think it's beneficial for you guys to use this kind of approach rather than just looking at a fully fledged shuffle and trying to build it note by note. Taking it step by step like that, it's the equivalent of, you know, taking your meal one mouthful at a time. So I hope this was beneficial to you guys. If you have any questions, pop them in the comment section down below, and I'll be looking for you in the next lesson.